these weights. Oh man. Oh jeez. Oh gosh. Oh. Woo. Oh. Woo! Almost missed that anabolic window. Gotta get those calf gains, baby.
Welcome everybody to another video. This time we're going to be going over protein timing. Does it matter if you consume your protein immediately after exercise or not? Short answer, no, it doesn't matter, but yes, it kind of does matter. And what I mean by that is no. It would seem that as long as you get 1.4 to 2.0 grams per kilogram of body weight per day of protein, and you're training hard and you're being consistent, then you're going to build muscle. But if you want to optimize how much muscle you're building, how much strength you're gaining, timing is absolutely going to need to be done. So you're going to need to do three things. Number one is spread your protein evenly throughout the day. Number two is absolutely get some protein either before or immediately after your exercise, about 25 to 35 grams. And then you're going to want to get a little extra protein in right before sleep. So 30 to 40 grams of a slow digesting protein, something like casein or maybe a PBJ sandwich with a glass of whole milk. All right, let's take a look at the evidence. Whenever I have a question about nutrition and exercise, I usually always default to the ISSN, the International Society of Sports Nutrition. This is where I like to start, and then I can expand my search from there. What they have is a position on protein, a position stand, which was done in 2017. And from looking at all the evidence, they have come up with pretty much 13 recommendations. Now, for us, only 3 of them relate to protein timing. The first one's number 6. The protein doses should ideally be evenly distributed every 3 to 4 hours across the day. This recommendation is really because of 2 things that we know. Number 1 is that we cannot store protein, and number 2 is that we are constantly undergoing muscle protein synthesis. So it would make sense that we should probably get protein evenly throughout the day so that we can consistently support this protein synthesis. All right, our next recommendation is number 7. So the optimal time period during which to ingest protein is likely a matter of individual tolerance. Since benefits are derived from pre or post-workout ingestion, however, the anabolic effect of exercise is long-lasting, at least 24 hours, but likely diminishes with increasing time post-exercise. So basically what they mean here is, yes, there is an anabolic window. It would seem that the sooner you can get the protein in, the better, but that window is very long. It's not limited to 1 or just 4 hours. And as long as you're getting your protein in, your total protein in for the day, you're gonna build muscle. But to optimize it, you might want to worry about timing it. Okay, finally, the last one they have about protein and timing is number 13. So pre-sleep casein protein intake, 30 to 40 grams, provides increases in overnight MPS and metabolic rate without influencing lipolysis. Basically, this is just common sense, right? You're going to go to sleep for 7 to 9 hours. And you're not going to eat during that time. But like I said before, you're constantly undergoing muscle protein synthesis. So what we want to do is make sure we get you with a big amount of protein right before you go to sleep. Casein is a slow digesting, so we know it's going to last the longest through those 7 to 9 hours of fasting to help support your MPS. All right, so I want to take a little further look into this protein timing around your exercise. So I pulled up 2 systematic reviews, one done in 2013 and another one done in 2020. Now they found the same thing, so I'm just going to keep looking at the 2013 one. The systematic review that I'm looking at was done in 2013 and published in the Journal of International Society of Sports Nutrition. It was done by Schoenfeld and colleagues, and it's called The Effect of Protein Timing on Muscle Strength and Hypertrophy, a meta-analysis. So this is the best of evidence. And really, this was the first one ever done on protein timing. And this is what they found. In conclusion, current evidence does not appear to support the claim that immediate, under an hour, consumption of protein pre or post-workout significantly enhances strength or hypertrophic-related adaptations to resistance exercise. The results of this meta-analysis indicate that if a peri-workout anabolic window of opportunity does in fact exist, the window for protein consumption would appear to be greater than 1 hour before and after a resistance training session. Now, they also say total protein intake was by far the most important predictor of hypertrophy. So whenever you're reading research articles, it's usually a good idea that you check with the authors and see what their strengths and limitations of their study were, because it could tell you a little bit about why they found what they found in their results. So they've got a couple. I'm not going to highlight all of them, but the ones that I think important are really two of them. Number one is most of these studies were done in untrained males, and we know that there's a difference to how people respond to treatments in exercise, whether they're trained or untrained. So that's a big one. Number two, and the real important one here, is that when you look at most of the studies they included in this systematic review, most of them did not control for protein intake between the control and the experimental group. Basically, what this means is that even though the experimental group were timing their protein, it would seem that their total protein intake for the day was within the recommended guidelines of 1.4 to 2.0 grams per day versus the control group, which probably fell underneath that total amount. So it's hard for us to really tell, was it the total protein intake or was it actually the timing that drove the results that they found in this study? Which is why I'm going to take a look at two studies that they included in their systematic review. Both of them controlled for the total amount of protein between the two groups, and both of them found two different results. Let's go ahead and take a look at that and see if we can find any kind of recommendation out of those two studies. Okay, so the first article that I want to take a look at from that systematic review was done by Cribb and Hayes. It's called The Effects of Supplement Timing and Resistance Exercise on Skeletal Muscle Hypertrophy. This was published in 2006 in the Medicine and Science in Sports and Exercise Journal. Now, the major finding of this study was that after 10 weeks of training, supplementation before and after each workout resulted in significantly greater improvements in 1RM strength and body composition, compared with a matched group who had consumed the same supplement at times outside of the pre and post workout time frames. Okay, and then what did they give them as a supplement? So you're going to see right here the supplement contained per 100 grams 40 grams of protein from whey isolate. They gave him 43 grams of carbohydrate, and then they also gave him 7 grams of creatine monohydrate. All right, so what they did is they took their male bodybuilders and they split them into two groups. Now, both groups are going to get this supplement, the protein, the carbs, and the creatine. But one group's going to get it in the morning before their breakfast and also in the evening after their dinner, while the other group is going to get it before and after their exercise bout. Now, both groups are going to exercise around the same time during the day, and I think it was between 3 and 6 p.m. Yep, there it is, 3 and 6 p.m. And both groups are going to be following the exact same training protocol. What did they find? So if we look at this graph right here on body composition, we're going to see that the group that took it before and after their exercise had a significantly greater change in their lean body mass compared to the morning and evening group. You're going to see a significant difference between how much fat mass they lost compared to the morning-evening group. And you're going to see that their body fat percentage greatly changed. Now, you're going to see here in this figure, they had a p-value of 0.05. So they're right on the line of that significance value. You'd like to see that a little lower to really, be comfortable with this. But that still counts right there, 0.05. And this other graph we have right here about their 1RM strength changes. So here as well, we have a p-value of 0.05. And we are seeing a difference. The pre-post supplement intakes seem to do better both in bench press, squat, and deadlift. They also reviewed fiber types in this one, and as we are seeing with the other graphs, the pre-post supplement timing did better than the morning and evening timing. So type 1 fibers, they had a significant difference. Type 2A fibers and type 2X fibers, they had a difference. The chart here that I think is really cool is the one where they're looking at their creatine and their glycogen. So what we're seeing here is that both for their creatine and their glycogen, there was a significant difference to how much they were able to get into their bodies. So you can see here at the right side of this chart that for both of those, the p-value was 0.001. So highly significant that this was a result of the timing of these supplement intakes. And what you're going to see here is for the group that took it before and after their workout, for creatine, they went from 123 millimolars per kilogram to 153 at the end of the study. So they increased it by 30 millimolars per kilogram versus the group that took it in the morning and the evening. They went from 129 to 138. So basically only a 10 millimolar increase. So one group had a 10 millimolar increase and the other group had a 30 millimolar increase. And creatine absolutely helps you for building muscle and strength. So it would seem that if you want to maximize your creatine intake, you definitely should be taking it immediately before or immediately after your exercise. And same with your glycogen. It would look like from 235 to 294 millimolars per kilogram was the increase for the pre-post supplement intake. But for the morning evening, they only went from 234. Oh, heck, they even went down to 232. So they went down. That's crazy. So it would seem if you want to have increased glycogen that you're also going to want to consume, in this case it would be the sugar, not the protein, or the carbohydrate. There we go. They are consuming that carbohydrate before and after. Okay, so I just want to highlight a few things before we move on to the next study. Number one is, when we're looking at all of these graphs, yes, the group that took it before and after their exercise bout had better gains in both strength and muscle mass. But look at the other side. They still had some serious gains in muscle mass and strength. So, what you could take away from this is maybe if you're new starting out, just worry about how much protein you're getting in for the day and make sure you're training hard. You're going to build muscle. You're going to build some strength. But once you've gotten that down and then you want to really start to optimize it, or maybe you're ready to start optimizing right as you begin, then it would seem that timing does matter. Now, if we look at their discussion, the authors note, hey, look, this is the first of its kind looking at protein timing and muscle hypertrophy and strength, and it's only one study, and follow-on studies need to be done to confirm these results. Well, lucky for us, it's 2021, a couple more studies have been done. So let's take a look at this other study done in 2009. We have a 2009 article published by Hoffman and colleagues. It's the effect of protein supplement timing on strength, power, and body composition changes in resistance-trained men. This was published in the International Journal of Sports Nutrition and Exercise Metabolism. What they found here is, in conclusion, results of this study do not support the hypothesis that protein timing provides a significant benefit to lean body mass, strength, and power improvements in experienced resistance-trained males. But let's take a look at how this study was conducted and see all the different results that they found and see what the authors even say about their results. And maybe we can find some kind of recommendation out of all of this. They divided them in the exact same manner. So they had two groups. One group, they both took the same supplement. There wasn't creatine involved in this one. It was just protein in this case. But they gave one group the protein before breakfast and after their dinner, and then the other group got it before and after their exercise. And let's see what they found. Figure 1 right here. We've got the results for the 1 repetition squat performance versus the AM/PM supplement taking and the pre-post supplement taking. They actually did do a third group, which was completely neutral. They didn't do any supplementation, just they did all the same training and they wanted to see what the results were. So a control. And basically what they found was there really was no significant difference between any of the groups. And here we take a look at figure 2, the 1 repetition bench press. Same deal. There doesn't really seem to be any significant difference between any of the groups and their outcomes after 10 weeks. Table number 3 here. So this shows us the difference between the body mass, the fat percentage, the lean body mass, and the fat mass. And basically what we're seeing here is there really not a big difference between either of the groups. So like I said in the last study, it's always good to take a look at what some of the limitations are. Now this first one's kind of funny. They said that their limitation is that in their study, their athletes were kind of under the amount of calories that they needed to be consuming. And what's so funny about this is they go on to say that most athletes typically don't consume enough calories, especially enough carbohydrates. It's very hard. Whenever you find out how much carbs you should be consuming for sport, it's an absurd amount of carbohydrates, and it's so hard for athletes to hit. Okay, so one of the other limitations they had in this study was that they didn't include carbohydrate as part of their supplement. So in the previous study we just looked at, done in 2006, that study, their supplement was protein, carbohydrate, and creatine. And in this one, it's just protein. And so basically what they're saying here is that because they didn't include carbohydrate, they may not have gotten as much protein into the muscle as they otherwise would have. Because we know that carbohydrates create an insulin response, a very big insulin response, and that insulin response will help get nutrients into your muscles. And so they hypothesized that, hey, had we given carbohydrates as part of this, we may have gotten more protein into that muscle and we may have seen different results. Okay, so we've seen a systematic review and now we've seen two different studies, and they're kind of all over the place, right? We had the systematic review said, hey, timing doesn't seem to matter. It's more the total protein intake for the day, although they admit that there's a lack of control between the amount of protein the control and the experimental groups had taken in, so it's kind of hard to draw firm conclusions. And then we took a look at two different studies that did control for protein intake between both groups, but we've got conflicting results. One group said, yeah, you're gonna see gains in the group that times their protein, and then the other study said, nah, you're not gonna find any gains when you time your protein. So what should we do? Well, like I said in the beginning, in the summary, if you're just starting out, it would seem that you're gonna want to worry about the total amount of protein first. And then if you really want to optimize and play it safe, then you should time your protein intake. All right, there are two more things that I want to look at when it comes to protein and timing. The first one's going to be, how much can you actually consume and absorb in one meal? I know a lot of people have heard, oh, you can only consume 25 grams in one sitting. And anything above that, your body's just going to use as energy. Maybe it's true. We're going to take a look here. This review article done by Schoenfeld, this guy's busy, and it was done in 2018, published in the Journal of International Society of Sports Nutrition. It's called How Much Protein Can the Body Use in a Single Meal for Muscle Building? Implications for Daily Protein Distribution. What they find in this review and what they say is, there was a study done that basically found that 20 to 25 grams seemed to be that upper limit that your body was able to absorb. There was another study that was done that found kind of the same results. And it's kind of now been this thing that has been said out there. I'm sure many of you have heard it. 25 grams, you consume any more than that, you're just wasting your money on excess protein. But it seems like it's a little bit more complicated than that. And there's a bunch of factors that may influence how much you can consume in one meal. And what they find here is that the dose-related effects of protein intake on muscle development, it is important to note that a number of factors influence dietary protein metabolism, including the composition of the given protein source, the composition of the meal, the amount of protein ingested, and the specifics of the exercise routine. In addition, individual variables such as age, training status, and the amount of lean body mass also impact muscle building outcomes. So, what exactly do they mean there? Age, for instance, we know that as you get older, you're gonna need more protein to get the same stimulus as you would when you're younger. All right, the other thing they mentioned is training status. So if you're an untrained male, 25 grams might be just fine for you. But if you're a trained male like myself, then maybe you need a little bit more protein. Maybe 40 grams is what you need. The other thing they mentioned here is that the lean body mass of the individual also impacts the muscle building outcome. So basically, 140-pound Enrique back in high school doesn't need as much protein as 190-pound Enrique needs right now. Why I'm talking about myself in the third person, I don't know. It's weird. But the point is, smaller athletes won't need as much protein as larger athletes. Go figure. All right, so basically what they have found in their conclusion is that it is therefore a relatively simple and elegant solution to consume protein at a target intake of 0.4 grams per kilogram a meal across a minimum of 4 meals in order to reach a minimum of 1.6 grams per kilogram a day. if indeed the primary goal is to build muscle. Using the upper daily intake of 2.2 grams per kilogram a day over the same 4 meals would necessitate a maximum of 0.55 grams per kilogram per meal. So what does this all mean? Can you consume more than 25 grams in one sitting? Yeah, it seems likely, right? It seems like there's a lot of factors, right? It doesn't seem we can definitively say 25 grams and nothing more. It seems like it's more complicated than that, right? Your training status matters, your age matters, how big you are matters. All of these things need to be taken into effect. I think, you should just play it safe. You always should play it safe when it comes to building muscle. You should want to optimize how much muscle and strength you can gain. You should sit towards those higher protein ranges, and you should time your protein intake. The last thing I wanted to take a look at is protein before sleep. How much should you take, and does it actually matter? And it seems like it does. So I've got an article here done by Snyders and colleagues. It was published in 2019 in Frontiers in Nutrition. It's called The Impact of Pre-Sleep Protein Ingestion on the Skeletal Muscle Adaptive Response to Exercise in Humans. And this is an update to a previous study that they have published. And basically what they found is, yes, it does matter. If you consume casein, 30 to 40 grams before bed, it will help in building muscle. Well, we know that you're going to sleep 7 to 9 hours and you're not going to be eating, obviously, and you're still undergoing muscle protein synthesis. So it would be wise that you get some protein in so that your body has something to draw from when it's trying to repair itself at night. Now, in the study, they use casein. This is for a reason. Casein is a slow digesting protein as compared to whey, which is a fast-acting protein, which is why whey is taken pre or post-exercise. So it can get into your body, into your muscles really quickly and start to get to work. But we don't want to do that with casein or with your protein before bed. We want it to last a very long time. So something like casein, I'm very cheap. I don't like to pay for multiple different types of protein. So what I like to do is a large peanut butter and jelly sandwich. If you do it on whole wheat bread, that's going to give you fiber and help delay gastric emptying. And then I also like to consume that with some chocolate milk, whole chocolate milk. I do whole milk because I need the calories. And like I mentioned before, for athletes that are involved, or well-trained athletes that are involved in training, they need a lot of calories. And most of them don't hit those calorie marks, like myself, very hard. To summarize one more time, everything about protein timing, does or does it not matter? It's kind of both, right? If you're first starting out, your goal should absolutely be the total protein for the day. So that 1.4 to that 2.0 grams per kilogram a day. Now, beyond that, if you want to optimize your strength, you want to optimize your muscle building, you absolutely need to time it. Even though the evidence is a little bit mixed, let's play it safe. So evenly distribute your protein throughout the day. That would be your first timing. Number 2 is absolutely get some protein in either immediately before or immediately after your workout. And then number 3, get some extra protein right before you go to bed. Something slow digesting like casein or milk or a peanut butter and jelly sandwich on whole wheat bread. I hope this helps, and stand by for some follow-up videos.